We give all our guys 2 hours a week to play. It's 2 hours a week that you get to cook something that you really want to. So you order in your ingredients, order any plates you want, anything you want to do, you do it. And they work on these dishes and they plate it and plate it and plate it. And the results have been fantastic. It's almost like beautiful art sometimes. These guys have come out with some amazing things.
Welcome to the Hospitality Maverick podcast with me, Michael Tingser. We at Hospitality Mavericks are here to inspire leaders to create heart-centered and profitable businesses from the inside out, the kind that both employees and customers love and support. In this episode, I talk with Naimesh from Manju in Brighton. In my view, the best Indian restaurant in the world. They are known for being a restaurant that not only redefines your understanding of Indian food, but also give you the ultimate hospitality experience. We talk about their approach to food, from where everything is cooked from scratch and the menu is constantly changing, the purpose of the restaurant and why they went into the restaurant industry 4 years ago to make sure that their 80-year-old mom could achieve her biggest dream, having her own restaurant. We discussed the journey they've been on to build a business that's just not another brand or Indian restaurant, and how they made culture as key in building their brand story. Naimesh also shared what he believes is the future for especially independent restaurants. He says hope and faith that will soon be on the other side. Some great learnings around how to build culture and brand. You don't want to miss this one. We all need to go through this together, so happy to talk with you about your challenges. So please book a chat with me on hospitalitymavericks.com. Grab your drink and notebook and enjoy. Welcome to the Hospitality Maverick podcast, and we are storming into 2021, and this is our first recording since we left 2020 behind us, and we're in the UK right now. In Brighton, both of us actually, my guest, I actually would have preferred, and that's why we pushed it ahead, that we met up face to face with the whole team. But yeah, the world has put us in a situation where we are locked down, so that's not going to happen. But I'm really excited to share today's conversation with you because I have Naimesh, a representative of the Manju team and restaurant in Brighton, on the podcast. So welcome to the podcast, Naimesh.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for having me.
As I said before, we've been trying to put this in place for a while. So there's probably a couple of people out there. I mentioned you guys on the podcast a couple of times. And I was thinking, oh, those are the guys he's been talking about, the Manjus, and what the incredible things they're doing. But for people that doesn't know who Manjus is and what you're all about, and can you just give them like the quick overview of Manjus, the elevator pitch, as I normally call it?
Of course I can. So I'm Naimesh, and my family owned Manju's, which is a really small independent restaurant in Brighton. We serve real Indian Gujarati food. Now, Gujarat is a vegetarian state in northwest India, which is where my family originated from. Then, we were actually East African Asians. So from my great-great-granddad, whoever went from India to Uganda, and that's where the family were based. Manju actually is my mother. She's 84 now, good old mum, and she cooks in the kitchen alongside with her 2 daughter-in-laws and a super talented team. So quick gist is mum lost her father at the age of 12 and was taught to cook by her mother, so my grandmother, who was the most awesome cook ever, and it's real Indian food. So age of 14, just to bring money into the family, my mother was doing 35 tiffins a day. Tiffins are the stackable lunch boxes that are made from steel. So she would do that just to bring money in because money was really, really tight. In 1972, mum was kicked out of Uganda. So she left with 2 small boys, me being just 6 months old, arrived in the UK and went to work in a factory, which is where she stayed until she retired. It was always mum's dream to have a place where she could cook from, own restaurant, do real proper home cooked Indian food. Unfortunately, mum just could never do it because, she had 2 boys to, support and rent to pay. And she's quite proud as well. She'll never ever ask for help. In the meantime, my brother and I grew up, went into business, did lots of great things and lots of really, really stupid things. And eventually, when Mum was 80, we bought her a place. So we're based at the bottom of Trafalgar Street, and that's where she cooks from. So that's us.
The most interesting thing you said, if people don't know, she still works in the business, and she works incredible hours when you're open. I know the pandemic has thrown a spanner in the wheel, but it's like I've been impressed. You know, I don't know for the people out there. She works a full-time job and plus.
I mean, so you know the restaurant trade. It's not a 9 to 5 game whatsoever. It consumes your life, and the restaurant is a life. I mean, she's now 84. She started when she was 80, as I said. She's there every day, in the morning, prepping, do lunch, prep, do dinner, comes home. We do this Tuesday to Saturday, so we have Sunday, Monday off where she can put her feet up, but she's still cooking in the kitchen when she's at home. This is her life, and she's so passionate about what she does that at the moment, so we've stopped. We shut the shop in March when the first lockdown was announced, and we haven't gone back because we just need to look after her. She's in her 80s. This blasted virus would not be good if she got it. It could be quite fatal, really. So just to protect her, protect the team, we packed up in March. Haven't gone back. We will do. We're not going anywhere. We're just sitting here biding our time, seeing when the light at the end of the tunnel appears. But she's itching to go back. I mean, we will have to be sensible about it as well. Now, she's 84. She's 4 years older than when we first started, and she's obviously going to be a little bit slower. We'll just have to make sure the support's in place. And even if she comes in and just has an overview of things, there's no way we're going to be able to keep her out. Even if we turn around and said, it was funny actually. Maybe 2 years ago, we had it was around this sort of time, and we had an actual, not an argument, but words. And we were like, Mum, you need to slow down. And she was like, Mum has this great ability of not listening when she doesn't want to. And it's like, Mum, you need to slow down. We are actually quite worried. You're getting on. We did it because, you wanted to. The idea was you can come as and when you want to, but she's here all the time. It's funny. We had this conversation, I think it was a Sunday. Tuesday, when we opened, knock, knock, knock on the door. She's there with her umbrella, ready to cook. This was at 10 o'clock in the morning. Next day, knock, 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 10 o'clock in the morning. She's back again. So there's absolutely no way you can keep her away. So we just shrugged our shoulders and go, okay, fine. You know what? It's probably a stupid idea trying to keep her away anyway, because she's just going to come no matter what. So let's embrace it. So let's build a better team around her to give her more support. And that's kind of what we did, really. But she's always worked, never ever stops, has a huge amount of energy. And there's just no way is she going to stop, really. You just can't keep her away.
That's a life force as well. I can see that with my parents. My dad still works. He's not as old as your mom yet, but he's in his end 70s. But he is still out there every day, and he's like been really frustrated around the pandemic because it's like it keeps him at home. So now he's doing gardens for people for free just to do something.
This is it. It's having this get up and go. I honestly think Mum would have been one of the best businessmen or businesswomen around if she had the opportunity. Unfortunately, she just didn't have the opportunity. Life really kicked her in the teeth from a young age, but she has the drive, she has the passion, she has the energy, and she just doesn't stop. I mean, even when we were little, she used to work incredible hours, like literally early in the morning, up, ready, 6 o'clock, out the door, work, comes home, cooks, cleans, shower, everything just never stops. And I don't think they make them like that anymore, really. I mean, they must do, but not, it's that kind of generation thing. Your dad being, is quite similar in age to my mum, and he's been in restaurants all his life, hasn't he? It's a force of good, though. I'm sure if Mum stopped and sat down, she would deteriorate really, really quickly. It keeps her brain cells ticking. It keeps her fit and active.
Gives a purpose.
Gives a purpose. That's it. And I think we all need a purpose in life, really.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think my wife said to me, "You are not like in this crazy times, you just get up every day and you do your his usual things and you just get on with it. And I said, I think it's because I've seen what my parents did. And they haven't gone through a pandemic, but they got through some other challenges where you thought there's nothing to do. We have to get up and eat that frog. There's nothing to do about it. We just have to deal with it.
It's funny though. It's about getting up in the morning and doing something you love. I mean, it's my brother and I had a business in London. It was the very first business we had, and we sold it because we were working 364 days a year. The only day was Christmas Day. It's the day we didn't work. And it was a delivery business. So we used to get up at 4 and used to start work at 5. Luckily, it was only 10 minutes around the corner for us. And we had these vans and we grew and grew and grew it and whatever. And it was great. But we were tired. And we had this business for, I think it was about 18 years. It takes its toll on you, no matter how energetic you are. If you're working 364 days a year, and you're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and you're out in the wet and the wind and ice, it takes its toll. So we sold, and it was bliss. The first week we didn't get up till 9, 10 o'clock. It was like having complete luxury. It was brilliant. The second week I was bored. So I used to go out for a jog. So we were in Crouch End at the time in London. So I jog around Crouch End at 5 o'clock in the morning, get the paper, have a cup of tea, and then I'm ready. And I've got nothing to do. What's going on? So we went traveling because it gives you something to do. And my mum's very, very similar in that, if she's got nothing to do, she will find things to do. At the moment, so she's at home. We haven't opened since March. She makes a dish every day. That's the thing. So every day she will go into the kitchen and she will make recipes that she hasn't touched for years. I mean, like yesterday she made biscuits. It's called nankate. It's like a Indian shortbread biscuit. So, I mean, she used to make them all the time when we were kids. I don't think she's made them in like 4 years. So she's made that. She made halwa, which is like this golden halwa, which is like a really thin saffron halwa topped with nuts. I think it's 5 years since she last made it. So she's going through all these recipes and she's having a brilliant time because she's now got time to do this sort of stuff. When she's working at a restaurant, ideally she should have been doing it, but she's so busy. We're busy, we're small. It's lunches are busy, dinners are packed. It's she just doesn't get time to do this sort of dishes. So now she's kind of rolling it all out, and she's having a brilliant time. But the thing is, she could sit down and watch TV, but she doesn't. She still gets up and goes into the kitchen, and she still cooks, and that's incredible.
Yeah, and there's a lot to learn from that kind of mentality or behavior, I would even say. Like, it's almost ingrained in her. She needs to do something. It's my thing. I do every day. But just coming back to Manju's, and you talk very passionate about the food, and I want to start there because I can still remember my first meal there, and I've been lucky enough to have a number of meals and been working with you guys. But you have a very specific approach to. Let's start with the food, and then we can add the business. But there's really a deep purpose around the food and how you do it.
So the whole point of Manju obviously is for my mum to cook, but the real thing was we want to really, really show how good Indian food can be. That's the whole purpose. I mean, like Google has, they want to organize the world's data and, make it accessible. Ours is, we want to change people's perception of what real Indian food is. We want to redefine Indian food. That's kind of the whole purpose of the restaurant. And to do that, you have to work in a certain way. We go back to basics. Everything's made on site. Everybody's made fresh. You come in, you're going to have to wait. It's not McDonald's. If you can't wait, we're the wrong restaurant. But we will make it for you and send it out as soon as it's ready. And, Indian food has really, in some people's eyes, really poor perception. They think it's cheap, and it's not. The amount of ingredients that goes into it. They think it's easy. Well, actually, I don't think, but it's actually quite a technical dish to cook. All Indian food is, there's quite a bit of technique that goes into it. And people love Indian food. I think it's the number one, number two cuisine in the UK. But it still has this kind of tainted image. And it shouldn't. And that's kind of what Manju's is all about. We need to change people's perceptions of this. It's high quality, it's technical, it's layers and layers of flavor. And I don't think people realize, because we've had this, not knocking the curry houses, but in the sort of 70s and 80s, it was kind of the place you go to after having 10 pints with your mates. Go to, after the pub, you go for a curry, you know, kind of behave really badly. And that's what its perception was. Luckily, I think people are a lot more food aware. People are lots more interested in food. The best thing is cheap travel. Cheap travel is broadens people's horizons. You can now go to India for 500 quid. I mean, not now, obviously, but generally you could. And India's a fascinating place, so lots of people have gone. And we're lucky in Brighton, lots of our guests have actually been to India. So they know what real Indian food is, not the anglicised versions we get served here. And there's a new wave of restaurants that are doing this sort of stuff. So we're one, there's quite a few in London who are doing this. But the vast majority of restaurants is still the curry house. Everything's orange. It's one base sauce that they use to make several dishes. We don't have a base sauce. Nothing. There's no base sauce. Every dish has its unique flavor profile and its unique technique of cooking. And our menu it's just 12 dishes. That's all it is. Not a big menu, but it's 12 very, very different dishes and the sharing plate so that you pick 5 or 6. They come out as and when they're ready. Each one's very different to the next. So you get to try lots of different flavors, textures. It's very, very sort of different. So it's some are hot, some are sweet, some are, spicy, some are less. So the flavor profiles of each dish is very, very different. And the thing is, our menu changes all the time. So Mum and the team cook what they want to. And we're not hung up about the money side. So no matter how popular the dish is, if they don't want to cook it, it's off the menu the next day, basically. So it's crazy. So we've done 4 different menus in 5 days, or we've done the same menu. I think the maximum we've gone is about 8 weeks, where nothing's really changed. A little tweak here and there, but generally things are changing all the time.
Yeah, and I guess that's also, when you come back up, that's like where something people are hungering from. There has been this, cookie cutter approach to restaurant and menu structures and no authority to the kitchen. This is the menu we designed. This is what people want, the same thing and again and again. And actually, people doesn't even ask about that when they come to you because they know whatever is that menu, that's my perception, it's going to be great. And I don't have to worry about it.
It's funny because at the beginning, it was really strange for people. We were new. Bear in mind, none of us have worked in a restaurant, pub, or bar ever. My wife's been a chef, but we take her out. So the rest of the team hadn't, and our food's not been seen before, really. So people would come in, sit down, open the menu, and there was like complete shock. And there's 2 questions they always kind of ask. The first one was like, "Where's the menu?" And we're like, "Well, that is the menu." They're like, "What do you mean that's the menu?" It's like 1 page of A4 with a few dishes on. I go, "Well, that's the menu." And the second one is like, "Where's the chicken, bruv?" That's, and we're like, "Sorry, vegetarian." They go, "What do you mean you're vegetarian? You're an Indian restaurant. Where's the chicken? Where's the meat?" And we're like, "No, we're a vegetarian Indian restaurant." And they're like, "No, no, 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 no. You can't be an Indian restaurant if you're vegetarian." We're like, actually, the vast majority of India is actually vegetarian, if that's what it is. So, and it took a long time. And with the amount of people that would actually sit down, look at the menu, get up and walk out, it was incredible. And it still happens, but not so much. I mean, the restaurant's, really well known now. So I think people kind of understand what they're going to, it's going to be very different. But before lockdown, we were actually, so we do these one-off nights, so we do like a street food night or Italian, we do all sorts. So one of the things was, one of our guests actually came up to us and he goes, "You know what? I have absolutely no idea any of these dishes in the menu." I go, "Well, all right, fine. Do you want me to pick for you?" He goes, "Yeah, fine, brilliant." At the end of the meal, he's like, we was touch base with him and he was like, "Man, that was incredible." We're like, "Thank you." He goes, "No, no, no, that was incredible." We're like, "Really, really, thank you. We're humbled." He goes, "Have you actually thought of doing a no menu night?" I go, "That's brilliant." He goes, "What would you just like literally people come in, sit down, and you feed them?" I go, That's fantastic. That's such a good idea. So at the end of the evening, after guests are gone, we got everybody together. I go, right, look, listen, this is a recommendation somebody's made. And I think it's great. It's a brilliant idea. They're like, that would be brilliant. So the idea is, when you book, you would tell us any allergens, so, I can't eat this, that. And you would tell us whether you're vegan or gluten free. And we would literally say, right, you come in, sit down, you'll have, 6 dishes, it's 20 quid a head or whatever it is, plus drink. We will pick your dishes for you. You have no say. And we kind of mentioned it to a few people, and they were like, that would be so good. And it was something we were piecing together. And unfortunately, the lockdown happened in March, and then, it's something we will do when we go back. But having a really small, thought out menu, which is very different, and your guests really don't have an idea, it sometimes works because they just go, you know what, I don't care. It'll be great. I know your mama's in downstairs with the team. It will be fantastic. Just bring it to me. I'm not bothered. And that happens more and more now. Initially at the beginning, it was really tough. People were like, it was almost like you was kind of had to justify not having meat on the menu and having a small menu. Now it's kind of seen as the thing to do. I mean, 12 dishes max because we cook it for you. We can't do big menus. Big menus just wouldn't work in our restaurant. Having too much. It was funny because we started with quite a bigger menu, and the kitchen was it was okay, but we weren't as busy. But the busier we went, the smaller the menu had to become. Otherwise, we just would never get the food out really. So it's worked really, really well for us. And having dishes that's the real thing and people appreciate is hugely gratifying, I would say. When people get up and they say, you know what, that was special. That's why you do it. You don't do it for the money. That's why you do it.
Yeah, because it's interesting when you think about it as a business as well, and you said a couple of times it's not about the money. But what is the ambition for Manju's? Because I guess the pandemic, like anyone else, you also been thought about. What is the family's ambition now with Manju's, and what should it become or not become for that sake?
Yeah, so it's funny because our previous businesses was always about growing it, you know, growing as big as you can, you know. With the restaurant, we've always taken a very different approach. We kept it small on purpose. It's kind of almost like a boutique atmosphere when you come in. It's small, it's intimate. We have very, very small group sizes, maximum 4. We don't let 5 come, and we don't take bookings for 5 and above. And it's about trying to keep that whole experience that's genuine from the moment people book to the moment they leave. And I mean, for us, the biggest thing is we need to go back. We need to go back, build up some momentum, come back with some focus, and we'll be stronger than ever. I'm pretty sure of that. But it's just about going back. Everything else, I think the way hospitality is at the moment, you 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 really can't think any further than sort of 6 months down the line. And I think the next 6 months are going to be very critical. But, when it's safe, because, we want to make sure the whole environment safe for our guests and ourselves to work in, and make sure mum's looked after as well, because at her age, this could be deadly. And come back more focused and go from strength to strength. But initially, it's just, let's do one day at a time, get back and build some momentum, because we've lost that. We will have lost that momentum because we've been effectively closed 10, 11 months now. And I think it'll come back. I still get lots and lots of emails at the moment. It's like, guys, especially when I post a dish on Instagram or something, I get emails coming through, guys, when are you open again? We're like, I really, really can't answer that question at the moment. And to be honest, I don't think anybody can answer that question at the moment, really.
Especially here in the UK, there's a bit of an unknown finish line to the situation. And I think if you play that game, then you will get out at some point, and it will be okay on the other side. Then you will get there, and I think
it's really foggy at the moment. It's this. I think even the powers above are probably taking a day at a time. And who would want to be an MP at this time? I wouldn't want to be. I mean, I wouldn't want to be anyway. But you know, this is changing on a daily basis. And my fear is that this time round it's going to be a long one. I think it's coming, and it's next 6 months. I think April certainly nothing's going to happen. That's my personal feeling. I mean, what do I know? But after April, they will probably try getting things moving again. But I think this lockdown, if one does come, will be a real harsh one, and it's going to be severely brutal for everybody. I mean, hospitality is on its knees. We're all on our knees. It's a tough gig at the moment, but it's a matter of try seeing it through, especially the next 6 months. Hopefully, it'll change. I mean, I'm hugely optimistic on restaurants. Long term, I think they'll be the most fantastic place to be. Chain restaurants, not so much. I don't think. I think the shift was changing before COVID, and I think COVID will speed it along. I think your people want more of a genuine experience, and the way things are happening, well, structurally, it's going to change. People are going to work from home a lot more. I think it'll be a 3-2 split. So 3 days a week in the office, 2 days at home, and employers will be quite happy to do that because they've seen it works. I mean, all my friends and family who are working from home, none of them want to go back to the office 5 days a week. None of them. They all quite like it at home, sort of thing. I mean, if you think about it, if you're an employer, if your guys can do the work from home, if you can pay for the computer and the internet connection, in return, you don't need such a big office. So if you're prime West End or Canary Wharf or whatever, you can scale it right down. So if you've got an office that caters for 300 people, you need an office that caters for 100 people because you don't need so many people in. So your rents and all the cost savings you have is huge. If you're an employee and your employer gives you your internet connection and your computer, can you imagine the amount of time and money you save going to your office and coming home? If that saves you 2 days a week and you could get the work done, why wouldn't you want to work from home? So I think there's going to be a structural change. People will work from home more, but we're humans, and humans want to connect. You want to see your friends, you want to see your family, you want to see your colleagues. So what are you going to do? You will go out to restaurants, bars, and pubs. So once things settle down, things will settle down. It will get better. Restaurants will be a fantastic place to be, especially if you can offer an experience. So small independent restaurants that offer a genuine experience will be the place to be, I think. And I think also people are a bit bored of the chains. I'm not knocking the chains really, to be honest, but you know where you are with them. But people are moving away and they want something different. And I think if you can offer that, when things change and things settle down, it will be a fantastic place to be. But we've got to get there first. This is not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to see out the next 6 months at least, I think, and then we'll see. But who knows? I mean, this could take longer. It's certainly not going to be shorter than 6 months, I don't think.
No, I think you're spot on. And one of the things we talked over the pandemic a couple of times is also if you radical accept that situation and look for how you can prepare yourself, because I know you went on a journey of you wanted to, as you said, you wanted to do it a bit different. You didn't build the restaurant just for the sake of growth. You build it to make an impact, to educate people about Indian food, as you said, redefining Indian food. Can you tell a bit about what is your approach to business? How do you make sure that you're all aligned around the way what is your ingredients to work like that and make a business in the end?
So, I mean, at the end of the day, for us, it's about people and passion, purpose, and before profits. So money is just basically like the lubricant in an engine. It just gets you there. It's not what you do. It's not what you go for. If you have this vision, or, ours is we want to change people's perception of Indian food, you need a team that's aligned. You and your team need to totally believe in what you're doing, why they're there, why they're with you, why they put up with some of the grief that you can get. Hospitality is tough, and if you want an easy ride, don't go into it. There's there's a million other industries you can
Yeah.
you can do financially better and have a easier life, but you don't get that buzz. I mean, the hospitality bug. You talk about the bug that people get. I mean, I totally got it. I'll be totally full disclosure. I didn't want to do the restaurant at the beginning. My kids were young. I was relatively, everything was relatively okay. We'd sold off the business. We could have sat on our asses for another couple of months and not really gone into it. But we did it because we thought, hang on, Mum's 80. If we don't do it now, it's not going to happen. And she's done everything you can for us. I mean, we are here because of her, you know. So the opportunity came, so we did it. Now, I don't think there's anybody more passionate than the restaurant than I am. I totally love it. But that passion needs to come across to your team, and your team needs to follow suit. And if you got your people on board, you've got the passion, you've got the vision. For us, changing people's perception of India food is our North Star. That's where we kind of point towards. And everything we do is heading, is trying to keep on course all the time. But you need your team behind you. And without them, you're nothing, And you need to empower your team, really, to be honest. So we spend a lot of time with our team. They have a huge say. They are more inspirational than we are sometimes. They come up with ideas, which we're like, that's brilliant. Everybody has a say in our organization, and it's not like where the boss is. They tell us off. If they think we're out of line, it's totally open. It's an honest place to work. In return, they're empowered as well. So we have a no dickhead rule. So one of our rules is no dickheads. So if a member of staff behaves like a dickhead, they're not on the team. In return, if we behave like a dickhead, they have every right to tell us that we're being like a dickhead. If a guest comes in and abuses our approach, our staff, or our food, our staff, no matter who it is, have full authority to ask them to leave. They don't need to come and see us. We trust them because they've been with us, and we've trained them they know what's acceptable and what's not. If a guest is behaving like a dickhead, it doesn't matter how much food or drink they've eaten, or they have to go. Our staff have full right to actually ask people to leave, and for them, they appreciate the freedom they have. Our staff have. In return, they are marching behind us or along with us. They are kind of holding the banner above their heads. They are totally passionate about the business as we are. And it's funny because even when you lose staff, so hospitality, I mean, I think we lose less staff than most. Our guys stick with us. But even when guys want to, so they're young, they want to go and travel, we're like, yeah, fine, go off. So for example, we had one girl who's young, was with us for quite some time, had the opportunity to go and work in a vegan cafe in Australia. We're like, it's brilliant. What a great opportunity, go. And then, she still gets in touch with us every so often. I probably speak to her. We'll probably message each other probably once a week. She's at university, and we said to her, when you're finished, when you want the job, come back. It's open for you. We'll find you a job, because she's that good. It's about caring after your guys, and they will care after your guests. It's actually almost quite sort of, almost you put your people first before guests, and they will look after your guests.
Yeah, we talked about it. You mentioned, because I wanted to talk about the no dickhead rule, but you already mentioned that. We talked about another belief you have about creating experiences. So we talked about that. And then we put meaning and purpose before profit. You already talked about that. That's another belief you have. And we seek and speak the truth. You just mentioned that as well, as part of one of the things you do. And then we say we create a learning environment. You said you were very focused on training the staff and being part of them.
So yeah, I just want to pick up on that. That's learning environment. So one of the things we do is we give all our guys 2 hours a week to play. It's just to play. So if they're up front of house, if there's a drink they want to make, we don't stock it. They just order it, get the glasses in, whatever in. you make the drink. If they're in the kitchen and there's a dish they want to make, so the rule is simple. So the rule is we have a no mobile phone policy anyway. So when you have your 2 hour playtime, we call it, if I find you on your phone, we're going to have a words. So no phones, nothing. You can't sit around chatting with everybody else, drinking tea and biscuits. That's not what it's all about. What is it? It's 2 hours a week that you get to cook something that you really want to. So you order in your ingredients, order any plates you want, anything you want to do, you do it. Yeah, we don't question. If it's a bit of kit that's really expensive, then we'll look to hire it in, for a week or whatever. But if it's relatively inexpensive, just buy it. We'll order it. Get it in. It's fine. And they work on these dishes and they plate it and plate it and plate it. And the results have been fantastic. Like literally, we've always focused on our plating and it's all kind of pieced together. It's almost like beautiful art sometimes. But these guys have come up with some amazing things. And the amount of energy and ideas that come from just these 2 hours a week is incredible. It's led to a couple of dishes being on the menu that we wouldn't have done, and it's come from them, which is brilliant. It's these guys have joined us with no experience, and all of a sudden they're creating these dishes that are good enough to go on the menu, and people are loving. And when you tell them, okay, fine, it's on the menu, you see the smile on their face, and it gives them purpose again. So they're more energetic to do it again. And it's almost like, it's not a competition, but they're almost like challenging each other to do who can do better. It's fantastic. I think everybody should do it. No matter what business you're in, not just hospitality, allocate 2 hours a week to your guys and let them just go and have fun and see what happens. Set the rules though, so they're not wasting the 2 hours because that doesn't that defeats the purpose. But just let them have 2 hours of fun and see where it leads to. And you will have amazing results. It's quite funny. I saw a documentary the other day, and it's Peter Jones, the Dragon's Den guy, visits two very, very different businesses. So he visits this, the Ultima, the Broad people in Scotland, and he visited Innocent, the smoothie guys, and they have two very different ways of working. So the Bras lady, Michelle Malone, everything's organized. Even her sticky notes are precise. All the drawers are precise. Everything's tidy. They work to a schedule. And Innocent, who are the complete opposite end of the scale, they've got like fake grass, ping pong tables, they're all standing around in this coffee shop with their laptops, having a chat, whatever. And it's funny, the results are still the same. They're both hugely successful businesses. They're just doing different ways. And I think we're kind of sort of in the middle of it all, really. Sometimes we're probably leaning more towards the innocent smoothie way in the way we do things, because it's about having fun as well. We're not so regimented that everything's precise, but it doesn't mean that you're unprofessional. It's just having the right people in place, giving them the tools to grow, look after your guests and look after themselves, and seeing the results. And the results are brilliant, I have to say. This 2 hour thing, the results, we were shocked. When we sat down, because my brother and I talk, we're the two owners, and we sometimes talk without the team, just to catch up on everything. And we were both shocked how good that worked out as. And the kids, and they love it. They absolutely are so like, well, yeah, I'm going to make this dish. I'm going, look, I don't care. Do whatever you want to. As long as you're not wasting the 2 hours and you're using the 2 hours to better yourself, that's all I care about.
It's super interesting because what you're talking about is that the culture, the ingredients is your culture, it's your ways, it's your beliefs, it's your behaviors that informs the way you do business and the way you expect people to behave. How do you make sure that everybody knows that what the rules is, and how do you make sure you're on the same page, and how do you regulate it, how do you calibrate it?
So the way we've done it is we've got our book of beliefs. So we have our beliefs and principles all written down in a book. It's crystal clear. We've spent a lot of time and effort into it, as you know. The book of beliefs it's the best thing we've ever done in business, I think, in 30 years of being in business. Especially, I think, the other businesses were a lot more simpler in some ways, because it was like buy at A, sell at B. It was shops, it was retail. And retail's actually a very, very simple business. You basically make sure you've got a great site, you've got the right product at the right price, and you're nice to your customers, and it really looks after itself. Hospitality, you're caring, you're looking after people. It's a lot more involved, it's a lot more personal. So to make sure everybody's on the same page, we've got our book of beliefs. Each member of the team has got the book. It's all crystal clear, and we review them every 3 months. The entire time they're with us, they need to stick to the book of beliefs. That's the principles that's laid out in the business. And that's what's expected of them. In return, they get a fantastic place to work, but we review according to the book of beliefs, and their pay is according to the book of beliefs. It's our holy Bible, really, to be honest. And it's crystal clear. Everything's in there. If they're not sure of what to do, it's in the book. That's what we say. If you're not sure, look at the book. You've got a copy, and we make sure they read the copy as well. Like, listen, sit down and read the bloody book. It's all crystal clear.
And then the most interesting thing is that I know that you give that to them when they apply for the job. So if you think somebody that's an interesting candidate, you give them the book before they come to the interview.
It's funny. So they have the book. It's amazing how many people don't read it before they come. So straight away they're not for you, and the interview process is, so for us, it's about people. We're not worried so much about the technical ability. It's character that we're after. It's the right personality. And we use the book as a tool to recruit. If they can demonstrate these beliefs, these principles that, that's written down in our book, they're the right people for us. It's simple. It's a great tool to recruit. If they can't demonstrate the principles that are laid down, and no matter how competent they are, no matter how much experience they have working in fine dining or wherever, we're just not interested. It doesn't help our culture of the business. If they're, it needs one bad apple, and then you've got problems, really. So it's not 100% all the time. I mean, we've made mistakes where we've recruited people that really, to be honest, there was one. I mean, I was like, and I thought, right, she looks good. I had a slight doubt, that she didn't quite make the checklist, but she looked good, Within the first day, we knew it was going to, and generally these people are not the right ones, will leave like that anyway. But the ones who do fit the bill, they're with you and they stay with you. And it's funny because it's trying to get the right person. It's very difficult. If you've got the book of beliefs, it makes it a lot easier. If you were a manager of a football club, right, and you wanted a position, so say you wanted a central midfielder, there's so many statistics on players. So how many tackles they make per 90 minutes, how much grass they cover in 90 minutes, how many shots they block, how many forward run, this whole thing. So if you're a manager, you've got these statistics and you can say, right, that looks like the right person. If they're a bit of an arse, doesn't really matter too hugely, because they're coming in for a few hours, they do the job, then they go. For us, it's the opposite. We don't have statistics. So how do you recruit and make sure it's the right person? We want the right character. Don't care about their ability in some ways, because we can teach that. Ability you can teach. We're not saying we can turn them from, nothing to Michelin star chefs, but if they're willing to learn and they're willing to put the effort in, they can be bloody good. We're that confident in the way we teach and the way we do things that they will be okay. They'll be good enough to work in our restaurant. If they're not good to work in our restaurant, they won't make it. Anyway, they generally will leave themselves because it's difficult. Hospitality is a difficult gig. And the book is the single most important tool we have in our business, I would say. It's actually the single most important thing we've done in 30 years of business. I wish I'd known about it earlier, really.
And it is super interesting because when we did the book of culture, you already knew all this stuff. It was just how you brought it together with the purpose and suddenly it was like as my perception was that you didn't have to have all the other rules. It became much more clear about this is how we do things.
It's funny, isn't it? Because unless you write it down, you know it, but it's a bit woolly. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, but it's all mixed up. And as soon as you start writing it down, one flows from another to another and to another, and it's a relatively straightforward process. It's so most businesses when they're starting off will take the personality of the founders really, and the trick is to as you grow, you want to keep that beliefs within the business, and it's easy to lose. But if you've got the culture that's behind it and it's so entrenched that it can't be shifted, you can grow relatively easily. And it's not what the book wasn't up for us to grow, but it was actually brilliant to have it all the principles laid down in an order, and then you can expand on some. You can say, okay, one or two, maybe we're not quite right. So it's a great way to see where you are within the business, and as a tool to help you. As I said, it's our North Star. That's the book, and our sort of mission is our North Star. That's where we want to be. That's where we want to head. And the book helps because it's rough. You get blown off course, but the book will guide you to where you want to go. And most businesses, I think, well, you know what, if you're going to business, if I was to do another business, I no intention now, but if I was to do, the first thing I would do is do my book of beliefs. It's the single most important tool that we have in our business at the moment.
What is meant for you having this, book of culture, and understanding your North Star in a pandemic? Because a lot of company was just around for doing transactions, and it's you are around with a very deeper purpose. Has that actually had an impact on you and the team and believing in the future? And
It's had a massive impact. So, yes, everybody's worried, people are worried about what's going on the corner. But we know, if we can see out the next 6 months or so, whatever. So when we see the light at the end of the tunnel, we're not starting from scratch. We have the culture in place, the team's well looked after, they're happy, we can get going again. I think, you know what, so your vision seems to be further away at the moment, but once things settle, and they will settle, that vision will come quickly towards you. It'll rush towards you. And that's, I think, and the Book of Beliefs basically is brilliant in that it stops you doing stupid things. So I think it's quite funny because you see businesses, and it's horrible to say, but when they become more and more desperate, they start doing more and more crazy things. I've seen it in restaurants where the offers start getting more and more wild, crazy. Pizzas that started at £12 were then £80, then £5, then £3. It's desperation, and you're not going to make. You can't survive when you start doing that. That's a sign things are not great. If it's in the book, you do it. If it's not, you don't. It's simple, and you have to believe in your principles. You have to believe in your values. Otherwise, you start doing crazy things. And, I'm hoping that we don't do crazy things, but the thing is, like, if we're unsure, go back to it. It's something we can look at. And if it's in there, you do it. If it's not, we don't. It may, we may get so desperate that we go, oh, you know what, we'll have to. But if it cuts out, I don't know, 8 mistakes out of 10, then that's a win situation for us because things are crazy at the moment. They're crazy times where they're going through at the moment. And I think, the next 6 months or so in hospitality is going to be crucial, really. So I'm hoping we've got a really, really strong foundation, which the book has given us, our principles and our values that we stick by and we don't compromise. I'm hoping, that's what we do, and we'll try 100% to make sure that's what it is. But, hospitality is on its knees at the moment, really. I mean, you've been in hospitality all your life. Have you ever come across a time where it's been as bad as this? Never.
I don't think I can remember anything I've done that has been as tough. And I think it comes really down to, as you say, that if you don't have these rules of engagement or principles, beliefs, there's so many words for it. What are you sticking to then to actually to move forward? And I think, and we have the same here. We also have our principles, and one of them is that never to get defeated by the short term outcomes, because it's the long term that matters. It's what you've done in 10 years time, not what you've done in a year's time.
It's what Warren Buffett said, that somebody asked him what the secret was, and he said, I get rich slowly. Most people want to get rich quickly. It's the long-term game now. There's certainly no short-term game. There's no short-term game whatsoever at the moment. It doesn't exist in hospitality. And I don't think you can ever go into hospitality and think on a short term. You've got to have a 5-year view. If you say, I'm going to open a restaurant, I'm going to build it and sell out within 3 years or 2 years, it's not going to work. That's was it. I think was it 80% go in the first year?
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's a pre-pandemic, and depending on location and stuff, but it's high. It's high, and often it's, as you said, it's that people discover how hard hospitality.
I think there's four. I mean, there's probably more. There's more, but there are four big reasons why hospitality, business in hospitality failed. So the first one, and I think it's the big one, is people underestimate how hard it is. It seems like they've watched too much MasterChef. They think it's all glamorous, whatever. The real life hospitality is actually hard. I mean, it's hugely fun, but it's tough. It's a tough gig. And I think people underestimate how tough it actually is. So that's number one. Number two, I think they go in undercapitalized. They don't realize how expensive it is to set up and keep going. It's an industry that you can burn money really quickly if you get it wrong. And we did, initially.
And everybody does, no matter what they start. Yeah.
We hadn't done this before. So we found out the hard way. We went in and we done some real crazy stuff, really. I think if we were to do it again, we'd be better at it, obviously, because, we've been now doing it for a while. But at the beginning, we were like, and we look back on it, we're like, what the hell were we thinking? Whose idea was that? That was just stupid. So that's the sort of second one. The third one, I think people picked the wrong location for the cuisine, really. Some locations just don't work for a certain type of cuisine. And the fourth one is, I think, people chase the money. That's the most negative thing you can do. Chasing the money will count against you. If you chase doing things properly, doing the right thing, being excellent, that's the thing you want to do, and the money will come. Money side takes care of itself, really, sort of thing. So they're the four reasons, I think, why hospitality failed. I think people I think if people have been in hospitality and restaurants and they want to do another restaurant, they've got a much better idea. So the second restaurant they do, second time round, even if they sold the first one, they've got a greater chance of actually making it work because they understand how difficult it is. I think when you go into it first time round and you've got no real experience, it's a shock. So I always say, if whatever you think it's going to cost, double it. Whatever you think you're going to earn, half it. And then we're roughly around there. That's kind of, where if you purely looking in terms of money, if you look in terms of having fun, engagement, creativity, getting up in the morning and having a buzz, I don't think there's a better industry to be in. Honestly, I don't think there's a better industry. We've been working together, my brother and I, for 30 years. We've had more fun in the last 3 years at the restaurant than we've had in 27 years of doing all the other stuff that we've done. And we've done lots of different stuff, We've come home and we're shattered, like literally absolutely knackered. But it's the passion and the, drive that gets you up in the morning because it's fun. It's great to go into the restaurant and having a great time. It almost sounds quite needed, but it's great when people really enjoy what you do. It's almost like validation. It's validation. We're doing something that's right and people will really appreciate it. And if people say something you take it, if they say something that's not quite nice, you take it. It hurts you. because you put everything into it. And I think that's a big difference between small independent restaurants and chains, really. You as the owner are in the business there day in, day out, trying to do your best. And you take things personally. You shouldn't, but you do.
Yeah. Because it is a very personal business, as you have
Of
mentioned a
course it is.
couple
You
of
put your
times.
life you put your life into it.
So, what would your in the end of the podcast? I always ask this question, so you know it's coming. So, what is your top three advice to leaders out there, or maybe people that are maybe considering this opportunity of getting into restaurants? As
So I would say you just got to do it. If it's your passion, you really, really need to give it a go, because you will kick yourself if you don't do it. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? If you think about it, in the whole scheme of things, if you're safe, you're healthy, you got loved ones, you give it a go at hospitality and it doesn't work, what's the worst that can happen? You lose a bit of money. Well, okay. We've all lost money in the past doing stupid things. I think that, the three things that you need to do, especially if you're in it at the moment, is one, be patient. Second one, stay focused, and third one is probably back yourself more than anything else. So if you're patient, and more so now than ever, things will get better. It's funny. My daughter showed me a statistic the other day, right? And I think I've got it here. Let me just find it. So she basically showed me this thing about pandemics and how things work. So won't be a sec.
and how old is your daughter? Just to get that.
She's 14.
Yeah,
So
interesting. Yeah.
here, this is what she showed me. She goes, in 1720, you had the bubonic plague, okay, and it killed 100,000 people, and the population was 680 million, world's population. In 1820, so exactly 100 years later, you had the cholera plague. 15 million people passed away, and the world's population was a billion. 1920, so exactly another 100 years, you had the Spanish flu. So 30 million, unfortunately, passed away, and the population was 1.8 billion. And 2020, we got COVID. Okay, so these are really, really grim statistics. I mean, all these deaths and whatever, it's horrible. We've all been affected by this and whatever. But the point what I'm trying to make is things get better. These are road bumps that are happening now, and people will look back in history and they'll say the 2020 COVID happened, but we are now, we're free and the world's open again, and everything's back to normal. So things will get back to normal, but the point is you need to be patient. I think where being patient is more critical than ever now. We're at such a stage in history and in life that it's gonna be a real rocky road ahead. I mean, I think this next 6 months, whatever it is. I mean, I don't know. Who knows, really? But certainly, I think the first part of this year, while they're rolling out the vaccine, whatever. So you need to be really patient. So do the basic. Look after yourself. Look after your loved ones. Stay at home. See it out. See it out as much as you can. You go back when you have to. Really, that's what what we're thinking. So firstly, don't rush these things. It's in the whole scheme of things, it's only a little bit of time out, really. Yes, it's tough, and I get it. We're all bleeding money. We've got mortgages to pay, kids to feed, all that kind of stuff. But more importantly than anything is making sure everybody's okay. What's the point of having a business that's running if one of your loved ones falls ill? What's the point? In the whole scheme of things, if you look at how what I think important in life, where does your business come? Really, to be honest, where does it come in the whole scheme of things? Really, you're married, you've got kids, so your family first, your friends second, then work somewhere around there. It's like it's not really high up, but it's not at the bottom. So you want to look after the first three, and then worry about anything else. So that's and unfortunately, I think this thing is going to have a real detrimental effect on a lot of businesses. It's a bit of a meltdown, but the only thing you can think of is we're all in it together. Some of us will survive, some of us will not survive as a business in the next year or so, really. But if you come out and everybody's healthy, don't matter, really. It really, in the whole scheme of things, it doesn't matter. So I think the first one is be patient. The second one is you want to stay focused. When you do go back, you've got to have that vision. Your North Star, as I call it. You've got to have that vision, and you need everybody aligned, and you need everybody pointing in the same way. I think that's vitally important. It's rocky road at the moment. Things you can get derailed quite easily, but you need to have that point that you're heading towards, really. So I think the second one is stay focused, and the third one is probably back yourself. If you don't back yourself, nobody else is going to. If you can't, if you've got doubts, well, we all got doubts, but you need to back yourself. You've done your restaurant or pub or whatever your hospitality business you're in, you've done it once. It's not your fault COVID's come along and caused major bumps in the road. It's not your fault any of this has happened, but you've done it once, you can do it again. It's going to be slow, though. People are worried, they've got no money. So when things do ease and we do turn a corner, it's not going to be a massive rush back, because the economic consequences of this virus is dire. But you've done it once. Stay small. Don't spend money on stupid things. Just make sure you're doing the basics right, and you'll be okay. Well, I hope that's kind of my general feeling. It's like, if you've done it once, and you've done it once where you've built up a business from nothing, you can do it again. And it's easier second time round because you've made mistakes the first time round. So mistakes and failure are not really mistakes and failure. They're just like, you learn from them. They're only a mistake if you haven't learned. If you do something and it's really dumb, and it's dumb, it's only stupid if you do it again. If you do something slightly different, then you've learned from it. So, I'm kind of a great believer in that, really. I think, if you do stupid, crazy things, you just won't do them again. And I think second time round, once this is all settled down, whatever, we should be okay, and then long term, hospitality is a fantastic place. I mean, like Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman's, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's a big hedge fund manager in the US. He's one of the guys that when he speaks, lots of people listen. He's probably in the hot, probably top 3 or whatever. He actually wrote in the paper that one of the best businesses to be in is restaurants at the moment, because there's a lot of pent up demand, and these people are gagging to come and eat and go out and socialize, but at the moment they can't. So when it's when restrictions come down, it's safe to do so. There's a lot of people who are going to come. As long as they've they're secure in the job and they've got some money or whatever, they'll be there. So I think it's try not to panic, and back yourself is probably the thing that you have to do. As I say, if you don't back yourself, nobody's going to.
That's great advice, because we often forget that if you don't believe in yourself, other people would not believe in you, in principle.
How can you expect your team to believe in it if you don't do it? And then you have no business, really.
Those 3 great advice. There's really something to think about there, especially the patient bit, because we're not very patient as it is, as nature and the world. Where can people find out more about you, and when you're back again, have the lovely opportunity to go and book a meal with you?
So, we're still quite active on Instagram and Facebook. So we'll make announcements through there, and our website, obviously. So www.manjus.co.uk. and everything will be posted as soon as when the coast is clear, really.
We will send all the power and energy, and thank you so much for giving it the story, but also sending a lot of hope. Even though you have to be patient to have a bit of that hope.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and it's affecting everybody in the world. My point is that we will get back. I'm 100% confident we will. I don't know when. It's just seeing it out. People will make up for lost time, and I think hospitality it's the only place to be, really, to make up for lost time. People don't want to sit indoors. As soon as the coast is clear and it's safe to do so, people want to go out. That's what we've always done. It's and if you offer something very different and something genuine, because people can see through things that are not genuine. You need to have an experience when you go out. It's funny because I mean, like one of the things we don't do. I mean, it's like technology is brilliant, whatever, but we don't actually have a booking system, and that's on purpose because our guest experience starts when they pick up the phone to book with us. They're not logging on a computer or choosing a time slot. We should, because it frees us up because we're busy and it takes one person away to take a booking from serving the restaurant. But we genuinely believe it's a touch point. So people pick up the phone, ask for a table, any questions they have, we can solve it there and then. And that's where our guest experience starts, not when they first arrive at the restaurant. So it's working in different ways as well. You want to do something that's slightly different to what everybody else is doing.
Great, Naimesh. So pick up the phone, give them a call, and book your slot when the world opens up again. Thank you so much to come on the show, Naimesh. Take care, love and power, and energy to all of you.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Wow, what a conversation. Thanks so much, Naimesh and the team of Manju, for sharing your journey on how to build a brand from the inside out. A brand built on culture. If you want to check out how we have worked with Manju, please click on Culture, Beliefs and Behaviors, and you can see the process we have been working with them on to create and clarify their North Star and also develop their book of behaviors and beliefs. If you want to get more inspiration on how to build a purpose-driven culture, please also tune in to our episode 29, Enriched Lives with Mowgli Nisha Katona, founder and MD of Mowgli Street Food. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please share, rate, or review, or subscribe to one of our channels. Tune in next time for another interview. In the meantime, find out more about us and subscribe to the community and download leadership tools at hospitalitymavericks.com. Don't worry, if you didn't get all of this, there will be links in the show notes. Thanks for listening and be Maverick.